Live on stage, the sound.
Orlando!
So, is they ready?
Yes!
The sound.
Orlando!
You don't know, we sometimes do come on late. It is a late evening. This is Friday, February 19th. A lot going on. We were supposed to have Kenny Muhammad on tonight, but he is in Mexico and was unable to find adequate resources to come on with a good signal. So we will reschedule this particular interview for a later date. You know, like I said, sometimes we come on late. Nothing is really etched in stone as much as we want to bring you the sound of Orlando and the quality of what hip hop is to us. We got so much going on right now in the country, i.e., what is going on in Texas. People are suffering right now without water. They were without power for a long period of time. They're not necessarily used to the weather out there in that regard, infrastructure-wise. So they are going through a lot of stuff out there. And I figured, well, you know, this would be a great opportunity to bring in not only an Orlando veteran, hip-hop enthusiast, expert, and just a great human being all around, aka the Cat Man. You may have seen him discuss sports and all those kind of things, and you know, some may know him as the poetical genius. But I wanted to bring him on as our man in Dallas to discuss some of the things that are going on in Texas right now, dealing with this winter debacle that is going on. Shout out to my brother Jesse Jazz, as usual, legendary DJ and promoter, and the man of all men in graphic design work. If you need anything graphic related, please hit that man up, 5stargraphics.com. You already know. Now, back to what we're talking about. Now, we've had some great people on. It is Black History Month. I figure, man, you know, let's just have a good old shindig with my brother from another mother and talk about things going on in Dallas on the ground so that you can get a bird's eye view of what our people be thinking in situations like that. What are they seeing? How is this affecting them? How is this touching them? All of those good things. And, you know, get really a good perspective on what it is to be in Texas right now. So I want you people to give it up for my Mellow, my man, my 1 ton homie down from the giddy up, my brother, Jonathan. Man, what's good, my brother?
What's up, man?
John Man, what's good?
I am good, sir. Hold on 1 second because I think I am having technical difficulties because I cannot see you.
Okay. This is what we got going on in Texas right now, man. It's crazy out here right now, son.
Yeah, I'm going to blame it on Texas instead of user error. That sounds great. That works for me.
What's going on, AJ? Shout out to AJ on the check-in, man. What's
all right,
good,
there we
my
go.
brother? Yes.
There we go. It was there we go. Frozen. Literally.
Yeah. Our man in Dallas, who is going through it right now in a lot of different ways, not so much maybe like everyone else, but he does have a perspective that everyone should kind of be able to relate to. He is our brother, you know, so he's got a perspective genuine to his own self that maybe need to be heard right now. Like we need to hear what it is to be black in Dallas. And you know, I wanted to talk about too some of the funniest stuff that we've been seeing on these timelines here, you know, because I did post something earlier today talking about the ongoing Facebook snitch.
Yes. Yes.
And this concept that to me, yes, I get it. Facebook is the Knight Rider, in the world right now. It does have AI algorithms and all of that stuff, but there's nothing better than old-fashioned snitching. And there's a lot of people out here reporting people to the government about what someone says based on not even something that's real, just because I just want to, I want to fuck with this person's life. Johnny, tell me how you feel about this in the grand scheme of things. I know I touched on it on a post or two, but tell me, because there's there's levels to hate, and there's a lot of people out here hating just because you view or have an opinion that is different from their own. They want to not only block you from their lives, which is totally fine, but they want to block you from your other friends. What part of the game is that? Talk about that, Johnny.
What it is this, man. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. You know what I'm saying?
You already know, brother.
I'm going to make sure that you speak at my eulogy. I guarantee that way it can be guaranteed that somebody say at least one or two positive things about me when I'm dead.
I heard that, brother.
But with that said, man, what's crazy is that you have these people must be broke, or right. Facebook must be giving out reward money, or somebody it's got to be commerce.
Right, because that's like that billboard that be hanging up on the highway talking about, if you have any information leading to an arrest for this person, we'll pay you 10 grand. Like, it's just, you can't really sleep on the level of hate that people have. Like, it's so petty that, God don't like ugly. But you're not going to convince me Facebook, because if Facebook is doing that kind of investigation on every single one of us, and they got AI to do that, well, they need to be the police.
Well, they need to be, which is crazy, because not only the AI sucks, but you know what sucks worse than the AI? Whoever does the closed captioning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whoever does the closed captioning on Facebook needs to be fired. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
They can't even get closed captioning correct.
How they gonna get? You know what I'm saying? I went to Facebook jail because I said black people are sensitive. Black people. I said black people are sensitive. I went to Facebook jail. But to go back why people are snitching, this is what the bottom line is, and this is what I've learned what came over the last year and a half, and we're family, so about 85-90% of the stuff that I post and everything that I talk about is that tribalism is at an all-time high right now. Mm-hmm. So if there's teams and pom-poms, so nobody wants to have discussions. Everybody just wants to latch on to their own. And if you say something that is against what somebody else believes or whatever, no matter if it's innocuous or no matter how, whatever it is, people feel that they have to do something about that, and they want to feel like they have some type of control. People just flat out miserable. That's what it just seems like to me. Excuse me. You have to lead and live a miserable life.
Right. I was just talking to my brother Rick. Shout out to Ricky Rick.
Shout out to Rick.
I was talking to my brother, and I was just explaining to him, like, it's one thing. Like, let's for shits and giggles say Facebook is real, right? Let's just say the life that everybody puts on Facebook is totally 100% real, right? Would you, shout out to AJ, shout out to Alfredo, what's good? If you decided that I'm not going to be your friend anymore, that's one thing, okay? That's normal ways of life. I block you, I snooze you, we'll get back, whatever. But the concept of not only am I going to not be your friend, but I'm going to stop everyone else from being your friend. So that requires a level of hatred that, to your point, based on all this tribalism, and we ain't talking about a tribe called Quest.
No.
We're talking about this tribe of just hateful clan member ass having mofos out here that just are intent on seeing somebody not have nothing because they don't have the ability to either congregate or relate to someone that they don't agree with, or it's not feeding them back the feedback loop of information that they've already received.
And you know what's crazy about this, right? Because I know I'm polarizing, or I guess it's narcissistic of me to think that I'm polarizing, but I know I am because, because of the interaction. But what's so funny is that, which is crazy to me, is that the level of what people will do, they will snoop and try to pay attention to what you're doing. Don't make any comments or whatever. Try to act like you don't exist by acting, but in the same realm, acting like you exist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And which is funny because I know I intentionally do certain things just to get a reaction.
Well, that's called trolling, and there's nothing wrong with trolling.
I do troll, but the funny thing about it is that
trolling has got a bad name.
It's not. I do troll, but some of the things that I look at it like this, and when I say reaction is this: if I'm fucking with you, or if I interact with you, that means I have some level of love for you,
right?
You know what I'm saying. And when I ask questions and when I challenge people that I feel that I love and I respect, and then I get the reaction that I get, and I'm like, damn, y'all know different than the people that y'all talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then it becomes mind-boggling because everybody wants to complain about everybody else, but nobody wants to challenge people on their own team. Nobody wants to challenge themselves. Nobody wants, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's you, and it's never, okay, maybe what's my part in all of this? Or what is, you know what I'm saying? What is my role in all of this? Because not everybody can't be right and everybody can't be wrong. And believe it or not, and this is what I honestly believe, no matter what's going on in this country, 99.9% of the people in this country want the same exact thing.
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Everybody wants $2 in their pocket, food on their table, and to be in a position to provide for their family. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's universal all the way across the board. Forget everything else. But nobody wants to look at commonalities and try to find out what we do have in common,
right? So
we can walk backwards and discuss the things that we don't have in common and what we disagree about. And then until we get to that point, and until, whatever, because I want to challenge you. If I love you, and you and I have gone back and forth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not even a Facebook Facebook thing. You know what I'm saying? We've been doing this, you know what I'm saying, almost on a regular basis, you know what I'm saying, for over 25 years, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's always been me, because I look at it like this. How can you expect something from somebody else if you're not willing to give them the time and the respect?
Right.
That doesn't compute. So, we don't have to agree on everything, but you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to love you and I'm going to have your back regardless, because, we've had disagreements and that still didn't have any bearing on if you needed something, I was there. And if I needed something, You
Right.
were there. You know what I'm saying? It didn't, that's never, ever, 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 ever been the cause or anything like that. It's never been a grudge. But people don't want to do that. People only want to do that with people what they love, or people they consider their friends, or people who they believe the same things that they believe. And that's why we will always be in this perpetual situation, because you don't know who you might need. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The last thing I want to touch on is one of my favorite episodes of the Jeffersons.
Shout out to the Jeffersons.
Yes, shout out to the Jeffersons.
2021, we all moving on up.
We are moving on up. One of my favorite, one of my favorite episodes of the Jeffersons is that Tom was a part of this secret club, right? And Tom didn't really know what the secret club was about, right? And it turned out to be like a clan. It turned out to be like a clan type, the clan type club. But he invited George to the meeting because he didn't have an understanding, right? And the leader was, started to choke, right? And George gave him CPR and saved his life. And the leader said he wished he would have died instead of George having a black man save his life.
You're right. I remember that episode.
So that translate all the way across the board.
Right.
And that's how people are. Like, it's like, we can root for the Kansas City Chiefs together, but I can't fuck with you because you support Trump and I support everybody but Trump. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as we leave this stadium,
right.
Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? That shit, you know what I'm saying? That shit doesn't make sense because we're not willing to listen, and we're not willing to look at the things that we agree on. This is one fact, right? Everybody sits on the toilet once in their life.
Right.
So we have more in common with each other than we don't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but we don't want to focus on that. So to tie it all in the bow, that's why you get people on Facebook that snitch and do all these crazy things, or they block or whatever, because they like, they can't handle it. And
right.
Granted, you have people that are assholes that, want to be antagonistic, right? And this is what I do, to go back to the trolling thing, right? This is what I personally do. If I see you doing hypocritical shit,
right,
I'm going to call you out on it.
Right.
I'm gonna call you out on it, and I could love you to death.
Right.
But
right.
but you know what I'm saying. But I'm gonna call you out on it because you can't preach one thing and do something else. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So when people post all these things that are one-sided, right?
Right.
And they post things that's one-sided, that's in a negative light, and don't do the same with their group or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? How can you rock with that? Because nobody's 100%. You know what I'm saying? So that's what when I quote unquote troll, excuse me, that's where I troll, because I see everything. And you know what I'm saying? And I see everything, and I'm objective. I you know what I'm saying? I have this saying. If it's 115 degrees outside, right? And the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan told me it was hot, I'm not going to leave the house with 4 sweatshirts out of spite. you know, you know,
You're listening to comedian
yeah.
and MC Jonathan Mann, our man in Dallas. My brother AJ has a question. He says, "What do you feel about the senator going to Cancun instead of dealing with what's going on in Texas? Talk about it."
All right, this is what I believe, right? Now you know personally how I feel about voting, and you know what I'm saying. So, with that said, personally, it didn't bother me that he left to go to Cancun because that's expected.
Right.
You know, for what I personally, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't expect anything less. So it wasn't a shock.
Shout out to Mad TV. Every time somebody says something to the equivalence of that, I always hear in my head, lowered expectations.
Exactly.
Continue.
So that's one of the best. That's my love life anyway. That's parallel.
Right.
So you know, so him going to Cancun didn't bother me, right? Because I expected that. What people don't understand is this. Well, I'm gonna say people don't understand. What I would say is this: is that it was just bad optics. So for everybody else that's struggling or whatever the case may be, that's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good look that, you know, you claim to represent the people, you know.
Well, what is a good look when it comes to that motherfucker? Because I don't understand where the looks begin. You know, other than that dude is a mess.
He is, you know what I'm saying? He is. It's in the politics here in Texas. What I learned quickly is really unique. Believe it, you know what I'm saying? The politics here is really, really unique. But the thing I will say is that with Cruz, Cruz had an opportunity to change the narrative. If there was a time for him to change the narrative about him, this would have been the time to do it.
Right. This was
an opportunity for him,
right,
to do it, because he barely won. You know, he won. He had only, against Beto O'Rourke, he had only 51% of the vote. That's how close it was.
Right.
So it's not like, you know what I'm saying? That's, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he was in a position of cockiness. You know, that he can, like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, right. But when you have every demographic struggling in one shape or form, everybody from different political parties all suffering at the same time, all these people in this bowl, right? No matter what their differences are, the one common thing is suffering, and you hightailing it, you know what I'm saying, rocking, you know what I'm saying, going to Cancun. Not only going to Cancun, had his wife texting, you know, folks like, yo, you know what I'm saying, yo, we got the hookup, you know what I'm saying, come to Cancun, 350 a night, yo, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna party, we're gonna kick it, you know what I'm saying, dinner will be on us, you know, and then people are like, yo, you know what I'm saying, how hated must you be that one of your friends snitched on you with, you know what I'm saying, showing your text messages, you know what I'm saying, to a newspaper. You know what I'm saying?
The snitching has become a machine.
It was, a matter of fact, they did it quickly. You know what I'm saying? As soon as they got the text message, they must have had like the New York Times or whatever, you know what I'm saying, automatically, because
speed dial.
You know, speed dial, because that man, soon as there was the flight to Cancun is a short flight, and 6 minutes in the flight, it's like, turn the flight around. And you know what's crazy? What's crazy? I'm going to tell you what's crazy. His staff requested police security on his return.
Right.
That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That is, I mean, and that's what I feel. I mean, personally, I don't have any expectations of them, so it didn't bother me. But there's other people that really, I never put faith in man anyway. That's just me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you put your faith in man, you're going to be disappointed. The only person I put faith in is me. You know what I'm saying? And there's only so much, you know what I'm saying? You know when you're going to disappoint yourself. So you get, you know what I'm saying?
And
You give yourself a heads up.
And that's a 50-50 conundrum, right?
It is a 50-50 conundrum. So, and I'd rather, you know what I'm saying? I know, like, I can say, hey, man, no, I'm about to go to the gym. Okay, I didn't. I'm disappointed. But I already knew. You know, what I'm saying? It wasn't a long discussion. But there is people that need that sense of, oh my gosh, what I'm going to do. We believe in politicians, and we believe in these people.
Well, part of the vote,
yes,
the symbolic meaning of the vote is an investment. That vote is an investment. Like, you've invested into these people. So for a lot of these people that have voted, they're invested, and then they're the ones that are kind of like, Charlie Brown chasing that football with Lucy, and trying to, they're disappointed all the time. Just when they think they're close, nope, we're not doing that. And then, so you got a lot of these people that no matter how invested you are, no matter how much you lose, if losing was a conclusion, there'd be no stock market.
Yes.
The idea that people are out here continuing to vote regardless to what is synonymous with any type of business transaction. You're taking a risk. It may fail, but you may get a lesson out of it. You may get some sort of new kind of better machine mousetrap out of it. Who knows? But you're going to get something out of it, even though part of that something is a loss. But to your point, when we're talking about these people and the idea of what Texas is in the grand scheme of things, Texas is similarly to what Florida is in a lot of ways.
There are cousins. I say that all the time. They're first cousins, and nobody in Florida wants to believe that, and nobody in Texas wants to believe that.
Right? No, they are. I mean, because the state tells you one thing, and the people tell you another. You deal with enough people, especially with what's going on right now. To your point, disasters are partyless. People all want things. They just don't, it's not real until it's real, right? It's not real until it happens to you. So a lot of times we look at these disasters as, but, that's an anomaly. We don't need to be prepared for that, or we don't need to deal with that. And, they get people to vote against their own interests for profit for someone else, not realizing. And they convince those people that, which is true, and I'm not gonna take anything away from that truth, which is businesses don't pay for shit. It's passed on to the consumer. So if you can make the consumer feel like they're losing out of all of this, which 9 times out of 10, everyone in power will let them lose before they lose. Then you can convince someone, we don't need no cold winterized stuff here. You need crazy? It's Texas. I want to spend my dollars on oil. My dollars on
You know what's so funny about this? I'm gonna tell you what's so funny about all this. And I did post this on my page. That they were discussing it about weatherization. They started discussing it in September.
Right.
So from September until now, there was having a discussion, the pros and cons of weatherizing the generators and all this stuff, right?
Right.
And this happened. And the crazy thing is this. This is what people Texas always believe, and this doesn't matter if you're a born Texan, this is true. And it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, it doesn't matter if you're an independent, and it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. This is one true thing. And Florida is similar in this aspect, that Texas believe it's Texas and everybody else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're whatever the case may be, we're bigger, we're better, and all these things. And there's always this talk about succeeding and all that stuff, which legally they can't. You know what I'm saying? That, legally Texas can't succeed from the union. They can be broken up into 5 states, but they can't really leave the union. But Texas is designed to be self-sufficient. That's you know what I'm saying? And the arrogance and the brilliance of Texas, coupled with the arrogance of Texas, is their downfall.
Right.
And
because your point, explaining what Texas is from basically a construct, an idea, is that in order to believe in that particular business model, you have to accept helplessness, right? You have to accept the fact that, okay, your people basically talked you in on the Titanic. And if you fall by yourself. But that's not true, because Texas, like California, like Florida, hold big percentages of the economy. So what happens to these people actually affects the entire country.
Yes. And what's crazy, especially with the situation here, a lot of people say, well, Texas, the reason why Texas arrogance and them not wanting to follow federal regulations is a reason why this happened. But yes, Texas didn't want to be federally regulated. Yes, that's true. But 2, what happened? They didn't violate any federal. They didn't violate any federal regulations. So
well, I see where you're going, because to really be honest, and we got several incidences where we can see, regardless of whether the federal government was involved from the beginning or not, it would have worked out this way, because even the federal government isn't prepared. Look what happened to Puerto Rico. Look what happened to New Orleans. The list goes on and on. What they truly care about, and no, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is just the plain truth. They don't give a fuck about anything other than businesses. And as long as the businesses are not completely and overly damaged, and this is what they get voters to do every 4 years or every 2 years, every year, depending on what councilman is running. This is why all these elections are important, because what they get voters to do is vote for business. Now, business is good. We need money. We need jobs. But they're not in the moral position to choose what happens to people.
Nope.
Because their business model, or if you look at the definition of any business, is to make profit. You immediately turn yourself into a product by voting with business. Eventually, when things are good, no one's complaining. You got a good job, you got a pension, you got your fireplace, you got your generators. Yeah. What do you care?
You don't. Yeah, you don't care.
That's a minority of people. The majority of people ain't no fireplaces in apartments. There's no generators in apartments. And they keep building those just as much as they're building homes that don't have fireplaces or the ability to have generators because they're too close to the other house, i.e. townhomes, i.e. Florida home divisions where the house is, you can literally jump from bedroom to bedroom because there's no land whatsoever. So the concept that we're leaving these people in the moral position to make decisions based on human being is not only stupid, it's completely hilarious.
It is. It is hilarious. And the sad thing is this. And I made a post that you saw earlier, how I compared this situation to 2004 in Florida. Because what bothers me or what aggravates me is that anytime there's a major event, a natural disaster, something negative that happens, people always, the first thing people do is try to find blame.
Right.
Or point, you know what I'm saying, and look for blame. And I just always thought that was disingenuous, you know, especially when you have lives that imperil, you know. So when I saw people from Florida talking about Texas, like, you know, they're, you know what I'm saying, they've been in Texas and they know, you know, they know exactly the reason why and everything like that and all these things, and spreading all this misinformation, it annoys me, because it's okay to be critical of something, right? It's okay to be critical of people, but be accurate with your criticism. You know, you know what I'm saying, and you know, and when you blame a certain, you know, when you blame, oh, the reason why it's going on is because of Republicans and da 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 da, man, you know, well, in Florida we got hit with hurricanes, 4 hurricanes in what, 6 weeks, right? 4 hurricanes in 6 weeks, and
remember that Florida?
And 2005 wasn't better because we got hit with 7 in 2005.
Right.
But when we got hit with those hurricanes in 2004, Florida's a Republican state, and they were on the grid. They're on the grid. And how long were we out without power?
Right. Without power 3 weeks.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, so we were, I mean, and it was the middle of the summer.
Right.
So it's one thing, cold is horrible, right? I always say this. Cold is miserable. Heat is aggravating. And it was like one of the hottest summers, ironically, when that went down.
Anyone listening to the show right now, if you don't know about the evil of a hurricane, and what that does, normally there's 150-mile-an-hour winds that you got to deal with, and as soon as all that rain, all that wind shuts the hell up, then comes the enormous humidity and heat, and you have no power, and you can't take all your clothes off and just roam the streets. Like, at least with cold, you could put more clothes on.
Yes, and you know, and I don't wish either situation on anybody, you know, but it took Florida 2004 and 2005 to happen before they decided, before they were like, you know something, we might want to do something about, you know what I'm saying, this infrastructure we have. You know what I'm saying? We might need to find ways to reinforce our part of the grid and make sure this shit doesn't happen to this level ever again. And because we all have revisionist history, right? You know what I'm saying? We all remember great shit, or we always remember the good things that happened to us personally, and we always remember the bad things that happened to us personally. And sometimes, depending on how we feel, some things get convoluted, and we remember, you know what I'm saying, things a certain way, and they might not be actually what they were. But they fucked up here in Texas because they knew that this could happen. So I'm not giving Texas a pass. They knew that this is a possibility. And it's always the people that make the money and the people that make the decisions. Nothing affects them.
Nope.
It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? We live, and this will always be true. Whether we're voting for somebody, whether it's a situation for all these other things, when you have a small minority of people making decisions for the majority, and those decisions don't directly affect themselves, then we will always be in this place.
Right.
So until they are directly affected with these decisions, then this will never happen. Now, this is what I will tell you. This, I still don't believe that Texas will ever connect to the national grid. Right? I don't think. I even after all this, and even if they were connected to the national grid, if this still could have happened with them.
It was going to happen. It will happen.
This would have happened regardless, because it fell down to the fact that they didn't weatherize the equipment. You know what I'm saying? Because people are like, oh yeah, they was connected to the grid to get more energy. I'm like, well, facilities and generators are not working, so you need something to transfer that energy. So they could have been a part of the grid no matter what. But how would the energy come if, you know what I'm saying, they don't have anything to transfer the, you know what I'm saying, that energy? It's not like, they could whatever. So, but this is what I will say though, is this. I honestly believe this, and this is what's going to suck. I won't say this is what's going to suck, because right now in some places, the electric is through the roof. Some people, because of this storm, some people got $6,000 electric bill. 6,000 just from this.
How Sway? How?
Before the simple fact that the cost, you know what I'm saying, of the BTUs went up dramatically. Jerry Jones made a killing off of this storm. You know what I'm saying? Because one of his companies is one of the big energy producers, you know what I'm saying? Energy producers. So everything jacked up, you know what I'm saying? The storm, gas prices, everything is jacked up because of the storm. Wow. And that's nationwide. This storm, what happened in Texas, affects the whole country.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It affects the whole country, which is crazy. How, you know what I'm saying, how this state dominates so much of this country. So I don't think that Texas is going to ever be a part of that. What I do think, and the reason why I say this was going to suck, is that they're going to make sure that they're will never be in a position to be codependent on somebody else in this situation. So you know what that means? Prices is going to be even higher for everything, because that money has to come from somewhere. Right. You know what I'm saying? That money has to come from somewhere to pay for this stuff, because you know what I'm saying? So property taxes, everything is going to be through the roof in Texas, and it's sad and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So if you're moving to Texas, there's 90% of the state that's on that Texas. 10% of Texas is not on the Texas grid. They're on the national grid. Find those places and move there. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I will not lie to you. I will not lie to you. Texas is going to make sure people are going to get some type of dollarage. You know what I'm saying? They're going to make sure. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Forget all the big cities, whatever. You might, you might have to live in North Mexico in El Paso. You might have to live in the panhandle of Texas. You know what I'm saying? They still get the same state benefits, but they're on the national grid. So, but Texas is going to make sure that at some point that they're going to make sure that businesses are still going to come here, because this is bad optics. You know what I'm saying? So behind the scenes, the governor, everybody like, man, this is fucked up. This is bad for our brand. We are the laughing stock of the country. We are fucking Texas. This doesn't happen to us. You know, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that dude that in Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I'm saying? The dude who face melted. You know what I'm saying? The Nazi, you know what I'm saying? He was so arrogant. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly how Texas is. And Texas is going to do what they can to be like, yo, this won't happen. We not on our watch. And it's crazy.
What's some of the craziest stuff you've seen during this crazy time over there?
One of the craziest things that I saw, well, first of all, the beginning of the craziness is that we had 135 vehicle pileup in Fort Worth.
Wow.
Right. 135 vehicles. And you can't fathom that.
No.
And on the interstate. And that's the reason why I won't drive. You know, I won't. I gotta see black.
I mean, yes, that's Interstate 35.
It was 635.
635, okay.
Yeah,
well,
you know,
35s.
Right. It was, I believe it was 635. I could be wrong, but I thought
35 got
no, my bad. No. I think it could have been, I think it was either 20 or 30, but you know what I'm saying? But it was it could have been 35. I don't know. Everything's a blur right now. You know what I'm saying? But the point of the matter is this: is that when we had the pileup, that's when I knew this wasn't going to be a good whatever. Another crazy thing that I saw is I'm in Sherman, which is a little bit about 60 miles. I'm in Sherman, which is about 60 miles north of Dallas. And what I saw that was crazy up here was people it was no sense of urgency, right? It was no sense of urgency, and people were still out on the streets. They were on the roads. They were, you know what I'm saying? They were leaving. I witnessed a car, an 18-wheeler ran out of gas, right, by my house. And there's this little corner gas station. This was day before yesterday. Corner gas station that's obviously not a truck stop, right?
Right.
Somehow they got the truck to the corner gas station to my house. And the way the store is, it's like it's in between two streets, right? So it's not really a true corner, you know what I'm saying? But it's in between two streets. And the 18-wheeler was so big that it couldn't fit on the property.
Right.
And two cars ran into the back of the truck because it was hanging out.
Wow.
you know what I'm saying, in the road, and they couldn't stop, you know, and it's just that's probably the craziest thing I saw. And I saw people, you know, arguing, trying to fight with dude, and dude, I mean, it's just people don't do well in stressful situations.
Right.
And when you add stressful situations to dire situation, when the stressfulness becomes dire, it's like Mad Max.
Right.
So
Right.
so and that's how you, and this what this storm has shown. And it's not just this storm, all these storms and all these calamities that we had over the years shows the fragility of the infrastructure of this country.
Right.
We are not designed, or you know what I'm saying, to withstand anything dramatic. And
Right.
we all know that is a possibility that these bad things happen.
Do you think that's why people cling to comfort more than they should? Because normally, you know, when you look back at our thousands of years of history on the planet, I'm pretty sure there was similar situations, but for the most part, we probably as a people were maybe never comfortable. Like we got our comfort in moments. Like, you know, maybe we were able to get some deer or whatever, feed our family, you know, but then it was right back to the stress. You got to go out and hunt. You got to go out and, you know, defend your family from attack or whatever. Do you think now, because there's so much accessibility to comfort, that it's exacerbated? The disasters are exacerbated. Like,
well, it's like that.
We have so much comfort around us that any little disruption can tear somebody down.
Well, I think that's a good question, and I believe it's twofold. I believe that we are surrounded by comfort. You know, there's comfort, but I also believe we have the mentality of this will never happen to me.
You're right. It's not real until it's real.
You know exactly. So people are always retroactive than they are proactive.
Right.
And everybody's a genius after the fact.
Right.
Because it's hard for us to foresee. Like you know, I was like, man, I could have bought Bitcoin in 2002. I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? I could have invested, and then if I would have invested or whatever, I could have had $10 million.
Right.
I was crazy. I mean, this is what I'm saying is true,
Right.
but I don't have a forethought. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, it was only $10 because I didn't. And when you're young, and then it's not just young people, but when you don't have, if you can't see past your nose,
which to your point is comfort.
Comforts
allow us to be blinded to the normality. Like no comfort has become normal. In a lot of ways, which for human history, comfort is not normal. There's not an animal on this planet that is comfortable.
Nope.
Unless they're hibernating.
And even then they're not comfortable.
Right. Like there's not, you know, and even throughout the history, it never worked out, whereas people that were comfortable, it ended well for them. You know, Atlantis, you know, Pompeii, Egypt, you know, wherever there was, you know, some just dramatic comforts going on, you know, there was a shift. Do you think we're entering that shift, if not already? Like, you know, that we're already here? Because 2021, if you thought you knew what was going on prior to this year, you're sadly mistaken. We all are wrong. Okay, nobody even walk around here like they knew what was going to happen. They might knew something was going to happen, but they didn't know what that looked like. And now that we all got to look at it, you know, them trumpets, them bowls don't sound that far off, do they?
No, what it is right. And I hate to say this, but we need to be eradicated off this planet. because there is always going to be a connection to something, right?
Right.
So even though we, you know what I'm saying? So
Wait. Breaking news, people. He just gave us some breaking news.
Hey, yo!
Breaking news never stops.
Turn this motherfucking sound up, man. Blast this is turn the whole this up.
Breaking news, people. John Mann just said we need to be eradicated.
because we need to start over, because it's always going to be a link to something, right?
Right.
So no matter how far removed that we are from something,
Right.
there's always going to be a connection,
Right.
you know. So if you look at history, things didn't start changing in a lot of places until people were eradicated, unfortunately.
Right.
I mean, it's sad to say.
We're in that proverbial Earth is telling the Earthlings, you no longer deserve me.
You don't deserve this. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like musical chairs. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in the right spot. You got to be in the right spot of the planet when the music stops.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But because no matter how we're shifting, you know, and how people think they're progressive, ideologies are still connected.
Right.
And until people can, now I won't say break away from their ideology. I never believe that anybody should be single in ideology. That doesn't make sense to me. But until people are able to forget comfort, but able to look beyond and be more supportive, then yes, we can whatever. I mean, it's like this. The only time we unite is when there's tragedy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And anytime people unite, it's tragedy, because those tragedies affect everybody. And then as time goes along and you get further removed from that tragedy, then everybody is at each other's throats, and all these things are happening.
Right.
And that will always be the case, you know? So granted, I'll say just 75 years from now, right? There is still going to be some connection to Reagan, right? Reagan's ideology. That is not going anywhere. There's going to be some people that still believe in the ideology. There's going to be some people that still believe in the false ideology of President Lincoln.
Right.
You know? And we're a few hundred years removed.
Right.
You know, so that would always be the case. So something drastic has to happen. Like, you know something? I want to think for myself. And anybody who thinks for themselves, and we've been so programmed to believe that individualism is a bad thing.
Right.
And until we get to the point that we can get past that and let people think on their own, or let people have not be crucified for their beliefs,
Right.
then things would change. But no, it's like high school. It's crazy. Social media made me realize that you never get out of high school. You know what I'm saying? You're never out of high school, because you got people acting like they're still in high school.
Right.
You know, whether they could be 28, they could be 65. You know,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So the maturity level, I think, is at an all-time low. And because it's easy to be immature. You know, everything is set up because we're living in a time that you really don't have to deal with people on a face-to-face.
Right.
You know, so, and people are comfortable with that. And that's the crazy thing. People don't have a problem saying, you know something, you're a fucking bitch, because they know they'll never see you.
Right.
And but some people don't know understand how the internet works. And some people have a rude awakening. But for us to break out of this comfort and latch on to, hey, we need to do shit together, I honestly believe we have to be eradicated. It has to be like Mad Max for real. And you know what I'm saying? It has to be, and that's sad. I don't want to believe in those terms because it sounds dire, right? And it sounds horrible. But people can't have civil conversations when it's good. You know what I'm saying? We can't have civil conversations when shit is somewhat decent. You know, so how am I supposed to believe or feel that we can move in a more positive direction when we can't agree to disagree when things are cool?
Right.
So it's sad. It's unfortunate. Like I said, I don't have faith. You know what I'm saying? I don't put my faith in man, but I do have faith in humanity, because I believe as a man and to a core that people, for the most part, want to do the right thing, and they want to believe the right thing, and they want to pursue the right thing. But we get caught up in our ways, and everything gets jumbled up and convoluted, that we get lost in our way because we're emotionally invested.
Right.
And the number one thing to that is that not enough people have true knowledge of self, and not enough people don't have a full understanding of themselves. And some people, so they don't know how to act in certain settings because they don't know how to act with themselves. So when you have those feelings or whatever, you know, everything busts out. So we're selfish by nature. So for us it's hard to unite people when people are selfish. And we are. We're all selfish by nature. We're designed to be selfish, but we're also designed to have compassion. You know,
Right.
we're designed to have feelings. We have emotions. We're designed to have empathy. We're designed to have sympathy. You know, we're designed to have all these things. But the arrogance and the selfishness of us pick and choose where we want to use those feelings and emotions. You know, we don't afford everybody the same respect, you know, and until that happens, this will always happen. It'll be just different scales. Next time, the next storm might happen, and it's not just Texas. Let's just say it's 9 states on the West Coast.
Right.
What are we going to do then? Because that's when it's going to be real. You know, we get all these warnings. We've had so many warnings, it's laughable.
Right.
But we don't heed these warnings. And whether you believe in God, the universe, ahead or less, there's things out here telling us, hey, shit is fucked up, and you have to do something about this shit.
Right.
And nobody wants to do that because we're worried about things that are completely irrelevant. And we want to go back and forth about shit that is completely irrelevant. And I'm not going to say that I don't partake in foolishness myself, because I'll be a hypocrite to say that I don't. But I do have an understanding of what I'm doing and why am I doing it, and unfortunately I do play my part. I've gotten better. I don't engage or get caught up in that foolishness as much as I have, because my sister told me not to. And shout out to my baby sister Jasmine. This is her birthday. Today's her birthday, so shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
But the arrogance of self will always be there. And historically, that's always been the case. And whether you believe in the Bible, whatever, stories are stories, or whatever the case may be, whether it's Cain, you know, the arrogance of Cain, whether it's the arrogance of Caesar, or whomever it may be, we can't get past that. We can't get past that, and until we get past that, we'll be in better shape. But I just think that I think everything's just going to be eliminated. It's going to get to the point that everything is eliminated, that we're going to finally unite.
Well, let's just leave that as the last word. John Mann has the last word of tonight. I'm so honored to have you on tonight. You know, this ain't gonna be an anomaly. We're gonna try to keep the script moving and grooving. And you know, thank you for your eyes in Dallas. We wish you and your whole entire situation and state. You know, we're sending our prayers out there, man. Continue to stay strong, buddy. We're all thinking about you. We love you, and thank you for being on tonight.
I appreciate that. Shout out to the Superstar crew.
You know what I'm saying? Brother.
You know what I'm saying? We're knocking on 30, 28 years.
28 years, brother.
28 years for the Superstar crew. Shout out to V-Ski. Shout out to D Green.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Also, shout out to everybody back home in Florida. I will be there sooner than you think. You know, so I might be on your doorstep because I'm homeless. Rocking you know what I'm saying? Rocking the Mr. Window. I know Speech was on the show a couple of nights ago. You know what I'm saying? I will be doing the Mr. Window thing, so don't be surprised if you see me on your doorstep pretty much soon. But yeah, I appreciate the time, Rome, and give my love to Dre and the rest of the fam. You know what I'm saying? You know I'll see you soon. Love you, brother.
Yeah, you already know, man. Give it up one time for my brother, comedian Jonathan Mann. Let's go. Man, so honored to have him on tonight, man. I know it's a late night, man. Thank you for everyone that tuned in tonight. We love you, man. Thank you for that. We're going to continue next week. Next week is going to be insane. I'm looking forward to it. Last week of Black History Month. Let's get this thing moving. Everybody out there, be safe, love harder, and forgive quickly. You know, That should be the motto. Let's go.
Live on stage, that sound.
Orlando.
So, is they ready?
Yes.
That sound.